speed is the magnitude of velocity. So you know that speed is the magnitude of velocity. Correct, thank you. Sorry. So speed is the magnitude of velocity, so you're looking for the square root of 1 squared plus 2 squared. So what's the speed?
Rad 5 meters per second.
Yes. Rad 5 meters per second. Done. That is the speed. Speed is magnitude of velocity. And then it says, what is the speed of the current in the direction of the canoe's motion? So here's the thing. We've drawn this. Maybe it's not recognizable, but you have two vectors going on right here. What could those two vectors be? Here's the current, right? Call it C, right? And then this is the canoe's motion. Let's call it M, right? What? It said what? V, thank you. Sorry. They already gave labels. V, like this? Is that correct?
Yeah.
So it's asking you for what? It's asking you for what is the speed of the current in the direction of the canoe's motion. So which vector is that if we're going to draw it in here? This vector that ends right there.
So
it's
parallel.
It's the magnitude of C parallel. That's what it's asking you for. The magnitude of C parallel. Is there one L at the end of parallel? Right? Yeah, one pair. It's the magnitude of C parallel. How do you do the magnitude of C parallel? How do you figure that out? How do you find the magnitude of C parallel? Well, what is C parallel? Here's one way to do it. What is C parallel? How do you do that?
So
C dot V over the magnitude of V, because you need the unit vector, times V over magnitude of V. Exactly. So you first need to find V over the magnitude of V. And what did A force you to do? What did you do in part A, everybody? You found the magnitude, which is what? And you know what V is. What is V? V is 5 plus 5i plus what?
Wait, no, we found the magnitude of C.
Oh, C, excuse me. You're absolutely right. Sorry. So what's this going to be? 5i plus what?
So we radical 34.
Over what? Square root of 25 plus 9, right?
Yeah.
So this vector is going to be 5, and you can pull this out to the outside if you want. It can be 1 over root 34 times what? 5, 3, right? So what are you doing now? You're doing C. What is C? Can you remember? It's 1, 2, right? So you're doing 1, 2 dot what? 1 over root 34, 5, 3, right? Do you see where that's coming from, everybody? And then it's in what direction? What direction is it in? V over, it's in this direction. So what do I need to plug out? What is it? 5, 3 over what? Root 34, like that, exactly. That's a vector, right? So let's do the dot product in the middle. That's going to be 1 over radical 34, and that's going to be 1 times 5 plus 2 times 3, 6. And it's the same thing right there, right? Well, we could just make it what? 5, 3. And what could we turn that radical into? Just 1 over what? 34. So then what do you get? You get 5 plus 6 is what? 11 over 34 times 5, 3. There's your final answer right there. Except it's asking you for the what? It's asking you for the, what is the speed of the current? So that is the C parallel. So what do you need to do to that? Take the magnitude of that. So we want the magnitude of that. So it's 11 over 34 times 5 comma 3. How do we do that? Yeah, what's that going to be? The square root of what?
55 over 34 squared.
You can multiply it in. What could you do with that? Does that do anything? What could you do with this to make your math easier? Can you move it out? Yeah, because you're moving it. If you put it inside, you're squaring it. If you take it outside, you're taking the square root of it, right? So what is it going to be? 11 over 34 square root of what? Right? Is that correct? Agreed? So what is it? So it's 11 root 34 over what? 34. There it is. That's it. So what's this, another way you could do this one if you wanted to? If you have a right triangle, everybody, do you see the right triangle right there? Mm-hmm. And if you know this magnitude, how do you find this magnitude?
Could you find like the angle?
Yes, right. So let's call this one, what do we call it? Let's call it, what do we want to call this vector in the middle here? Well, it's actually C parallel, right? We know that the magnitude of C parallel, right, is going to be equal to what? The magnitude of what? Anybody have an idea? The magnitude of C times what? Cosine of theta. Is that true? Do you agree with that? Is that true? How do you know that's true? Well, cosine of theta is what's the adjacent over hypotenuse, right? So is that true?
Yes.
So in order to find the magnitude of C parallel, we know what C is, right? We know what is this? We found that in part the first, right? Root what? Root 5. So what would we need to find? We need to find cosine of theta, so we need to find what?
So it'd be like tan
We need to find theta, right?
so it'd be
Yeah.
tan inverse of 2.
Hold on. No, there's an easier way. You don't need to do tan in. What do you know? You know that V dot C is equal to what? What's the definition of dot product? Dude? Magnitude of V times the magnitude of what? C cosine theta, right? Is that correct? That's, hold on, let me finish the, hold on. Do you agree with that, everybody? Everybody, take a look at that. That's true, right? So do we know V? What's V? 5, 3. What's C? 1, 2. Is that correct? What's the magnitude of V? Stop doing that with your pencil, whoever's doing that. Root 34. Oh, I don't need the magnitude anymore, right? Root 34. And what do you get here? Root what? Of cosine of theta, right?
So
And what's this dot product over there?
11 over
No, that's just the dot product. What's it? 5 times 1 plus, so it's a, so yeah, oh, you're doing 11 over what?
root 34.
Root 5 is equal to what? Cosine theta. So theta is equal to what? Oh, wait!
Yeah, like
You can just take the whole cosine, right? We have this,
you
right?
could even take the radical 5 and
Yeah. So where do we put that? I know. I'm just, we can put this right here, right? We don't need to actually find cosine.
Yeah.
So now it's going to be, well, root 5 times what?
11 over root 34 times root 5.
Times what?
So it cancels.
And
So
it's,
it's just 11 over root 34.
so what do you get? That cancels. You get what? 11 over what?
Root 34.
And guess what? Is that the exact same thing as what we got? That is the same thing. So are there two ways to do this? Absolutely. You could find C parallel and take the magnitude, or you could use the definition of dot product. Now, honestly, I would say probably the second method we'd use is easier, but it's debatable. How about, let's say in this case, let's do same thing, but let's say the current is going to be 6-4, and the path of the boat is, let's say, 9-2. Find me this parallel. Find me the magnitude of C parallel to V. Find that for me.